Hello. So this is going to be the first video on this channel, I guess. That wasn't actually the plan. I was probably going to do something with a bit more production value, something like that. But the new Swans album just got leaked, and it's pretty good, so I wanted to talk about it. Probably not any cohesive review of it, but just kind of give a rant, give my thoughts on that. So my first Swans album was To Be Kind. I didn't really pay attention to them. I didn't care about them before that. But after I listened to it, I got the Seer signed copy from Young God, and then I basically just got the rest of their music too, their live album, stuff like that. And I'm not a huge fan of their first phase, their whole no-wave phase with filth, cop, holy money, greed, public castration. I'm not a huge fan. But honestly, I think that their work started getting good, ironically, when they started becoming most accessible with their albums in the late 80s and 90s, like The Burning World, Love of Life, Various Failures, White Light from the Mouth of Infinity, and obviously soundtracks for The Blind and The Great Annihilator and Children of God. All of them were really great albums. And now that they're starting this new phase, obviously it was off to a bit of a rocky start with My Father Will Guide Me Up with a Rope to the Sky, or whatever it's called. I didn't listen to that one too many times. But it seems like somebody was onto something on Rate Your Music. They posted a kind of a review thing before the album came out. They were just talking about how, like, hey, maybe all of their albums are linked together. Maybe it's all about the mortal man, and Filth was representing the mortal man, hollow with nothing, and then he fills it with money and greed. I'm not too keen on that theory, at least for the first part. But what I do notice is there is definitely that kind of theme going on in the 2010 releases. My Father Will Guide Me Up, Rope to the Sky, that's obviously about someone journeying to the other side, as they said before. Actually, it's Flash Gordon 8 who came up with this. I don't want to uncredit them and pretend like this is my idea. Then the Seer is representing the other side. To Be Kind is representing like preparing the man for reincarnation, teaching him all the things that man's supposed to be. A man's supposed to be like they're supposed to touch, come, breathe, whatever, reach inside, that kind of stuff. The stuff that's being talked about on Screenshot, Things We Do, and To Be Kind. And then finally, the Glowing Man is about the actual reincarnation process. And the reason that I'm more keen on believing the second half of this theory, that starting on the 2010s it was still telling one big cohesive story, is partially just because of the way this album's laid out. It starts off with the cloud of forgetting and the cloud of unknowing, so it's kind of just like, how would I put this? It's kind of like the person going through the reincarnation process is forgetting about their old lives, they're forgetting their past mistakes and all that, and they're ready to be made anew. And then things like When Will I Return, that's the man asking when he's going to return to the afterlife that he got to see in the Seer and To Be Kind. And then obviously the Glowing Man would be his actual reincarnation process, and then finally peace would be once he's reincarnated. And one of the reasons that I'm believing this theory is that on The Glowing Man, it starts off with the track Bring the Sun. Not exactly the whole track, but it borrows from that sound that was used on To Be Kind. And the sun and glowing kind of that same whole thematic thing going on for him. So it's possible that the Glowing Man is supposed to represent the sun that's being talked about on To Be Kind, and now they're finally bringing him back to the mortal world. So anyway, that was just a rant about that whole theory, but onto the actual album. Actually, no, not yet. First I want to talk about another thing. There's a whole lot of reviews going around already, before it actually even officially comes out, that's saying how horrible this album is, and this could never live up to Soundtracks for the Blind. But if you look at it, it's not supposed to. I mean, have you ever watched a real good movie like, I don't know, Shawshank Redemption, or I'm trying to just think of generic good movie names here, Cool Hand Luke, so something like that. it's never about how good the ending is or how the ending was the best part of the movie. If you want the ending to be the best part of the movie, you can go watch The Sixth Sense by M. Night Shyamalan, and he kind of sucks. But what makes a movie good is the entire composition of the work as a whole, and honestly, I think the climax is what makes a movie good. The point of the highest tension when it seems like all hope is lost, and then finally the characters, the protagonists in the movie, find a way to work around it. That would be the highlight of the movie for me. And in the context of their discography, Swans seems to have that climax be Soundtracks for the Blind, the best part of their work. And even though it's kind of puttering out towards the end, which I don't think it is by a lot, because I love this album, but even if you want to argue that, the ending's not supposed to be the best part. It's supposed to be a conclusion that wraps things up, and, it's supposed to wrap things up. It's not supposed to be grand and epic like Soundtracks for the Blind was. Anyway, so yeah, where I was getting with all that is people are saying, like, it can't live up to the expectations that were made for it, and to that I would also argue that you're complaining about an artist making good work, and there's no reason to do that. I mean, sure, it's not going to be as good as Soundtracks for the Blind, but they're still making good music, and why wouldn't you want that? Why would you want it to end right there? Because you're so obsessed with sentiment? That's stupid. I mean, if somebody's making good music, you should encourage them to continue. You shouldn't say, well, stop. You've reached your peak. You're never going to do better than this. You might as well quit. That's ridiculous. Alright, now to finally get on with the album. So, first impression is that this album is very, very similar to their 90s work, where they were getting to be more accessible, starting to have like actual melodies and rhythmic patterns, instead of To Be Kind and The Seer, where it was a little bit more abstract towards the post-rock realm. But this sounds like an actual rock album to me. Starting off with the Cloud of Forgetting and Cloud of Unknowing, those were both bit droney tracks, but I really was a huge fan of about the last 10 minutes of Cloud of Unknowing. That was a real good song on the album. And then also, my favorite track is The World Looks Black, which comes right in between Unknowing and The World Looks Red. The World Looks Black has some of the best instrumentation, I think, on the album, along with some of the best vocals. They're talking about things like Follow the Sleeping Man, Follow the Waking Man. I'm not sure of the lyrics just yet, because obviously we don't have the spine notes that are giving us the lyrics, and no one's posting them anywhere. But yeah, it's just this real catchy part of the song. It's real intense. It's hammering. It's a good kind of middle of the whole album, or at least the good ending of the first disc. And then we've got People Like Us. I wasn't a huge fan of this. It seemed a little bit out of place. It was a nice kind of interlude almost to Frankie M, but it didn't leave that much of an impact with me. Neither did Frankie M, for that matter. I think it's a real good song. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't leave a whole much of an impact with me. The one where I really felt like this is a great piece of work that they've made is on The World Looks Black, Cloud of Unknowing, and then When Will I Return, Glowing Man, and finally Peace. Those last three tracks together might be the best conclusion to a Swans album ever. I don't want to say that it's better than Soundtracks for the Blind, but at least the ending, I think, is a whole lot better and a lot more satisfying. So, those are just some of my thoughts. I don't really have much more to say on it right now. If I think of anything else, I might make like a part 2 or something, but it's just a rant, so it's not a huge deal. Alright, see ya.